Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I figured we would go with some glorious skies over Camden Yards for this segment. I've been trying to preview the baseball season this week. It's kind of hard to do when we're not really talking about whether the Orioles are going to be a wild card or not, and where they are in the whole, in the black hole of a rebuild. But this guy is still glory to me, and I want to give a shout out. I've never had a slice of pizza, Gill's Pizza, on Bel Air Road, but I found myself over at the Woodley Bakery. I'm trying to support local businesses. All due respect, I love you, Pizza Johns. You know that. I was just hungry and in the mood. And I rolled in, and on the wall, there's only two pictures. The 79 Orioles and the 1980 Orioles. I don't know why not 83. I looked down at it. But Ken Singleton is in those pictures. Singy, he moved to the dark side a couple of decades ago. I had Mark Messina on earlier. His brother moved to the dark side as well. Not a bad place to be when you win championships. He's in sort of retirement, but not really. He's in Florida calling spring training games. He's calling Yankees games at the Yes Network. But if you bump into him in the Wise Markets here somewhere in Cockeysville, it's because he lives here. Singy, how you doing, man? How's the golf game? How's Florida? How's your back? Update us.
Florida's good. I've been down here since January. The weather in January in this part of Florida is kind of iffy at times. You can have your cooler days, but then after a few days it warms up, and now we're to the point where it's almost 80 degrees every single day. So it's been nice. I can't complain about it, but I'm kind of ready to come back home to Baltimore. I noticed the temperatures are warming, so I know all the snow is gone. So I'm and baseball's about ready to start. So I'm ready to come back and do my thing from Baltimore.
Nothing to shovel here but a rosin bag, Singy. Look, man, I've invited a bunch of people on this week, and I can sit here and bitch a high river about this and the mess and last place and rebuild and whatever. I'm more concerned about all of it, right? I'm 52 years old. My last name's Aparicio. They threw me out 15 years ago. I'm wondering when I'm going to go back, why I'm going to go back, if it's going to be fun when I go back. I know the one thing that's happened to me, and this has nothing to do with Peter or my radio stat, nothing like that. Just the game has changed. And when you sit and watch the game now, and when you talk about the game, and all of your colleagues were thrown out of Masson here this year, and I thought about what that's going to sound like, what it's going to look like, and then I thought, well, all due respect to all old guys like you and I, they better have somebody pitching the Saber metrics and the analytics, because that's how every decision in the game is being made.
Yeah.
I will be the first to say that I didn't do well in Algebra 2. You know what I mean? And relearning the game at this point in the way that that will be necessary to understand the game in a way that my father wouldn't understand it. That's sort of the new job for people like you now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I could say that I've learned a lot about. It's all about the numbers, but Nestor, I am not. The players have heartbeats. They have heartbeats. You shouldn't turn them all into numbers. There are certain things that affect players when they come to games that numbers can't quantify. So I do believe that you're going to see a little bit of a pushback here. If you remember when Theo Epstein left the Cubs, he was in charge. He said he's part of the problem of what's going on with baseball now because of all the analytics. He feels that the game is getting a little boring, too many strikeouts, too many walks, every hitter's going for home runs, and, all the pitchers throw 100 miles an hour. And to me, broadcasting Yankee games the last few, I've seen the Yankees win games where they have struck out 17 times, but they've hit 3 home runs. So if you want to see an endless parade of guys walking up to the plate and walking back, that's not hitting to me. Hitting to me, there are very few guys around like Tony Gwynn or Wade Boggs that use the whole field. The shifts have kind of killed left-handed hitting. Left-handed hitting batting averages have gone down over the years because left-handed hitters hit a rocket in the right field. There's somebody standing there and throw them out at first base. They are starting to talk about in the minor leagues now, limiting the shifts, that players, infielders have to be on the dirt. You can't be standing in the outfield. And to me, that's a good thing. I think you'll see more hitting. I think you'll see more players like DJ LeMahieu of the Yankees, who won the batting title last year, who hit the ball all over the field. You'll see less strikeouts. You'll see more action. A.J. Hinch, the Tigers manager, said, the stolen base has kind of gone out of the window. You don't see very many hit and runs. He says he's going to try that with the Tigers this year. Now, he's well aware he doesn't have any Ricky Hendersons on his roster, but he has some guys who can run a little bit, and he's willing to take the chance of picking up 90 feet, where other managers just lay back and wait for somebody to hit the ball over the fence, which, it happens. But it to me, I think we're starting to go back the other way a little bit.
I had Denny Nagel on this week. He and I are the same age. And I talked about when I played Little League, right? My pop was, both of our fathers were managers in our Little Leagues and whatever, carrying the bag. And we always had the helmets and the bats and the catcher's gear. Nagel told me he was actually a left-handed catcher. My dad had one of those. But I thought about like Felix Millan when I was 5 years old, choke up on the bat, former teammate of yours, I believe, right? And my dad would always say, choke up on the bat. You got 2 strikes, choke up on the bat, make contact, make contact. And singing, I was not a great baseball player by any stretch, but I played 5 years of Little League, and I struck out one time ever in Little League because I think I cried. You know what I mean? Like striking out was something that was detestable, unacceptable to me. And I told Nagel, I'm like, I know you would have intimidated me. You were left-handed. I know I would, but I would have made contact. And now what do you tell little Johnny when he's 10 years old about the strategy of making contact? Because there is no more of that in the major leagues right now.
No, you have guys who've won the MVP and they've struck out 150 times a year. So I think the most I ever struck out in a year was 118. But that year I did hit the most home runs I've ever hit. But the
it gave me a reason to hate Reggie, by the way, because he struck out. He strikes out a lot. It gave me one more reason to make fun of him,
Well, Reggie's the all-time leader in striking out, as you know. But, he's in the Hall of Fame. He hit 563 home runs. So maybe there's a worth to that, having a couple of guys like that in your lineup, but not the whole lineup. You understand what I mean? Everybody's striking out in this day and age. That's
bring back Dave Kingman, Gorman Thomas. The guys who played the game that way, literally. Right?
Yeah, Rob Deere. There's another one. Yeah, just guys who struck out a lot, but they were sort of like. They were off to the side. These weren't the prominent hitters in your lineup. These guys did do some damage. You're right. They hit home runs. But you didn't have 5 or 6 guys like this in your lineup like you do now. I mean, the strikeouts are just – every year they've gone up, except for last year because they didn't play a full season. So
well, some may say the pitching's getting better. We have all these 95-mile – I mean, everybody throws hard now. Every pitcher's trying to strike you out. They're not trying to pitch the contact.
No, they're not. Most of them are trying to strike, just throw it right on by you, and they can't because they throw 95 to 100. But to me, that's not really pitching. That's throwing. Aim for the middle of the plate and hope for the best. You have pitchers back in the – of course, you remember Scott McGregor, 20-game winner in 1980, an All-Star that year. Won the final game of the World Series in 1983. Scott McGregor, they wouldn't hardly look at him today. Because
Nagel and I were talking about Maddox not breaking glass.
Yes, same thing. Yeah, same thing. Maddox is a great pitcher. He knew how to move the ball around. He knew how to hit the corners, stayed out of the middle of the plate, change speeds. Just that's pitching to me. Now, when there are certain guys who can combine both of them, like Roger Clemens did. He had precision, he had power. He could strike you out and he could finesse you out. Messina was that way as well. These are great pitchers, but to me, it's more about the radar gun. How hard do you throw the ball?
Let's talk about the players on the field and who they are. Ken Singleton, of course, Baltimorean by choice, Yankees broadcaster by draft, I guess. How many years now? 20? How many for you?
This will be my 25th year with the Yankees. I don't do as many games as I used to. I used to do almost all of them, but now I'm to the point where I'm about ready to stop this. So my boss has me.
You're like the Stones and the Who. You've been having farewell tours for too long already, man.
I'm sort of like semi-retired, if you will.
Well, you're paying attention though, right? And
I watch every one of the games. Yeah.
Assess all of this for me because most of us, the 60 games last year here kind of came and went. There was no I called it Eddie Feigner. I said it was like a tournament, little, get together. And now this is for real. It's 162. Fans are going to start coming back. What are they going to get when they come back for the Yankees and for the Orioles at this point?
Yeah, I think number one, both teams will be excited to have fans back in the stands, no matter how many are in there. Last year, all that canned noise, canned cheering, a lot of players that I've spoken to, I've heard from in spring training on Zoom chats, they are very happy to have fans back. They want energy in the ballparks again. I would imagine, Nestor, that as the season goes along, you'll see the number of fans being able to increase to come into ballparks. And maybe by this time next year, we'll have the full boat. Everybody can come in, and to me, that's a good thing. I think what you'll see from the Yankees this year, I expect them to win the division. It's just a matter of how far they go in the playoffs. They've got a strong team. They usually do. I've been there 25 years, had a winning record every single year. I think they made the playoffs 22 times in those 25 years. I have no complaints about covering the Yankees. I grew up in New York. It's a short ride on the Acela from Baltimore. It's just 2 hours. So usually I did my studying when I was on my way to do a game that night.
Hey, if you could have played 5 years there at broadcast 25, what would you have picked?
5 years playing in New York?
Yeah. Do you feel bad that you didn't play on the other side in New York?
No, I did. I played for the Mets for a year and a half.
The other side, the Yankee side.
No, I don't. The Yankees were big. I was so happy to be an Oriole for 10 years.
You learned to hate the Yankees, right? Like literally.
Right? Well, in those days, we didn't particularly like them, but now, like I said, I grew up in New York, so I saw a lot of Yankee baseball growing up. The 10 years I was with the Orioles, we had a winning record every year. We went to 2 World Series. I got into 3 All-Star games. All my memorabilia is Orioles stuff.
There's no Oriole who ever didn't want to be an Oriole, other than maybe Reggie, right? Like everybody else. I mean, even Gritch and Baylor and all those guys that left. This was where baseball was. It wasn't in Anaheim.
Yeah, they grew up in the Oriole organization. They came through the organization. When Baylor got traded to Oakland for Reggie, I remember that night we were in Miami, a spring training game, and they took Baylor out of the game in the 3rd inning, and I didn't see anything wrong with him. So I went up to the clubhouse to check on him, and he was sitting in the trainer's room in the corner, sitting in the corner, just crouched in the corner. He was crying. And I thought, maybe one of his, something happened to a member of his family. And he said, "No, I've been traded." And I said, I'm really going to miss you. And I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to Oakland." And then I kind of casually said, "Who are we getting?" And he said, "Reggie." And I thought, Reggie? Oh, my goodness. Then I began to think a little more. I said, "Hey, he plays the position I play." Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought.
So I knew eventually they were going to move me over to left field. And I remember one day, I'm taking fly balls in right field. Eric comes walking out to me in Miami, and I said, "Wait, stop. I know what you want me to do. You want me to go over to play left field and work in left field?" He says, "Yeah." By the way, Reggie didn't show up till May, so I got to play a lot of right field that year. And they even tried Reggie in center field for a little bit. That didn't really work out. But and then when Reggie signed with the Yankees, the Orioles offered me a 5-year deal. So they wanted to keep me. And then I began to think, if Reggie had stayed in Baltimore, would they have offered me that 5-year deal? And I would guarantee you, I don't think that would have happened. So when Reggie left to go to the Yankees, it enhanced my worth in the Orioles' eyes, and certainly helped my family out.
Well, I was 9 years old in '77, Singy. So, there was never a moment that I liked him more tand I liked you, ever. And then I met him, and then I realized I really liked you a lot more. Ken Singleton is here. Yes Network, Cockeysville, and up and down 95, but not broadcasting as many games this year. give me a little Orioles pitch as you would pitch it. I mean, if Masson hires you and you have to come in and watch this and make sense of it, getting a scorecard would be helpful. I did for the first time in my life, like look up Matt Harvey, like look up, the girls he's dated and his pitching record and What a Man About Town and The Dark Knight. And I was out of that side of the tabloids in New York, but certainly the Orioles are trying to beef up some veterans to deal some stuff. I mean, they are playing cards is what they're doing, right? Playing poker.
Yeah, right now they're enhancing their rotation of the young pitchers like Kramer and Aiken with these veterans that maybe can show them a few of the tricks along the way and enhance their abilities in the future. First of all, don't even suggest I'm going to work for Masson, because after this is over here, I'm done. You'll
golf at the Masson golf tournament once a year.
Well, I would do that.
I know you would. I know you would.
But to be honest with you, I'd rather hang out with my grandkids. Yeah, and I've been in the major leagues for 52 years now. So to me, that's long enough.
Hey, listen, I'm on the record saying you should have been here all along, but we had Palmer here. You know what I mean? I wish we had better baseball here. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't matter who the broadcasters are if the baseball
Palmer
were
does
better.
Too. Palmer does too.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of the tragedy of it all. I'm excited about it starting next week, and then I'm like, then it's going to start, and then I'm going to probably find something else to do because I just can't sit and watch a poor product at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, you can always watch the other team and see some of the better players around the league. That's when I did Expos games years ago, they weren't a quality team. They had a couple of good years, but so what I did was to just make it more fun for me broadcasting the Montreal games. Just, look at the other players. When somebody like Tony Gwynn comes in, just watch his mastery with the bat, how he could just hit the ball all over the place. I think I read something the other day that Tony Gwynn faced Greg Maddux 67 times in his career and never struck out. He faced Pedro Martinez, a noted strikeout pitcher, like 36 times and never struck out. I mean, just how good did he have to be to face two Hall of Fame pitchers like that? On opposite ends of the spectrum. One was a fireballer, the other could get you out many ways. And never punch out once. That is just, there aren't hitters like that anymore. So I'd like to see that sort of thing come back.
What's crazy is I knew Tony pretty well, and I literally saw his VHS tapes in the late '90s. Out there with the Padres, and Freddie Ullman was out there, and Tony befriended me, and I saw how he watched film. Now everybody's watching film, like literally, right? You would think at some point that the artistry of it, that a Wade Boggs or a Tony Gwynn would appear. And more than that, and we've talked about this at length, is that this whole shift, if you shifted on Tony Gwynn or Wade, or on a professional, if you shifted on Ken Singleton would make you pay for it, right?
Yeah, well, that's the idea of hitting. You're trying to get on base. My job was to get on base in front of Eddie Murray. That was it, either a walk or a hit. Earl Weaver told me you just do what you do. The year he called me in the office in spring training, he said he's going to bat 84th. And he says he's going to bat behind you. You just do what you do. If you don't hit a home run, get on base so he can hit one. So that was my job. And that's
I thought you were the greatest leadoff hitter of all time. That's what I thought. I grew up with you as a leadoff hitter, Singy.
I did it 1 year. 1 year I did it.
Hit 29 that year? How many did you hit? You had a bunch of home runs that year, didn't
you?
No,
I didn't really hit home runs. I think I hit 15 that year, which
that was a lot for a leadoff.
But the thing is, I was on base 40% of the time. So that was my job, to get on base. So.
Well, that's still the job. That's Moneyball, right? Get on base.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Well, listen, I love having you on. I love that you're still doing charity stuff here and golf stuff here, and I know you'll be doing more things as we get these masks up. How you do? Get the shot? Everything good there? Vaccine? Good?
I got one. I've got another one coming up. I got the second one coming up. Shortly thereafter, I'll be headed back up 95 from Florida here back to Baltimore, and I'm looking forward to it. Just keep those temperatures at least at 60 degrees for me, okay? If you can, Nestor.
Well, I'll do everything I can do. It says upper 50s next week, but I mean, close enough. Get a windbreaker. Last thing for you before we go, I'm about to do a crab cake tour. I've had a whole epiphany about local businesses and crab cakes and whatnot. If you are meeting someone at BWI, you pick them up, somebody special, Reggie, and he wants a crab cake, and where do you take someone for a crab cake. We have Fadley's and Costas, our sponsors. They ship everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start eating crab cakes everywhere to experience it. So
Ooh, I've got several places.
good. I got paper and pen. Go ahead.
Okay, Pappas in Cockeysville.
Of course.
Okay, Ocean Pride in Lutherville on
Okay.
York Road. Where's another place? Those are my two main places.
Those are your two go-tos. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'll tell the Bielski boys you said hello over at Ocean Pride. All right.
Yeah. Oh, great. Here's what I really miss. And Nestor, a number of my former teammates live in the Baltimore area, and this is what I miss this so much because it's COVID. We would go out and watch the Ravens games all together. The guys, the wives, just all of us together, all my former teammates, and just eat all the crab cakes and drink the beer and, run Lamar run, all that sort of thing. And that's what I really miss this past winter. I'm looking forward to being able to do that next year.
That's a club I don't know about. That's a little private club. You players you get together at a house, restaurant, and watch a game. Watch the Ravens play.
Yeah, well, we used to go to Pappas. We used to go to the Iron Rooster in Hunt Valley, and all the guys and the wives, and it was just a big party. And I'm so looking forward to that again. I'm so looking forward to be able to give my guys a hug. Give the wives a hug. Just everybody. We're back together. You're invited.
That's very sweet of you.
And that's what
I just think that's amazing. Old Oriole players getting together and watching Ravens games together. That's kind of neat.
It's wintertime. There's no baseball.
Singy, I appreciate you, man. Get home safely. Watch the back on the golf thing, and stay safe out there with the Yankees. I'll hit you later on in the summer when the Yankees and Orioles get together. We'll do it again, all right?
You got it, Nestor. Thank you,
Baltimore positive. Nothing more Baltimore positive than Ken Singleton. I'm going to have one at Ocean Pride with the Bielski boys to honor Singy. All right, Wise Markets has been supporting us. We are very, very appreciative. We're eating better and spending less. I'm going to be educating folks on nutrition and other things, as well as the Baltimore roots for Wise Markets. I got some stories about that as well. All of our friends are together, Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. Big appreciation for all of our sponsors. You can find me, Nasty, at WNST.net, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and soon, Oriole Park at Camden Yards. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking. Baltimore positive.